Hello.
Hello, everybody. Yep, yep. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to um, RPG Talk Monday talks. We're doing chapter Pathfinder Chapter One Introduction Part Two. So in my last video, last talk,
Yep.
um, I read down to introduction and I read to the first rule. Yeah, so I did the introduction and the first rule of playing the game.
Yep.
I've got to the flow of the game. That's where we've got to. All right.
Yep. So watch his channel for what was on the first part.
Yeah,
Flow of the game. Playing the game using this book.
indeed. Okay. And I'm joined today by Helping Hands. Helping Hands, would you like to read the flow of the game for us?
Give me a second.
No problem.
The flow of the game.
Indeed.
Pathfinder game is played in sessions, during which players gather in person or online for a few hours to play a game. A completed Pathfinder story can be as short as a single session, commonly referred to as a one-shot, or can stretch for multiple sessions, forming a campaign that may last for months or even years. If the game master enjoys telling the story and the players are entertained, the game can go as long as you want. A session can be mostly actions, with battles with wild beasts, escape from fiendish traps, and the completion of heroic quests. Alternatively, it can include negotiations with a baron or for rights to fort, infiltrating an army of lumbering frost giants, or bargaining with an angel for a strand of hair, the required to elixir to revive a slain friend. Ultimately, it's up to you and your group's determination what type of game you're playing, for dungeon exploration to a nuanced political drama, or anything in between.
Nice. Cool.
The first rule of Pathfinder is the game is yours. Use them to tell what story you want to tell, and be what the characters you want to be, and share exciting adventures with your friends. If any rule gets in your way of the fun, as long as the group agrees, you can alter it or ignore it to fit your story. The true goal of Pathfinder is for everyone to enjoy themselves. Remember this rule.
Enjoy yourselves. That's it. Exactly.
Remember this
Yeah.
rule.
Yeah. I'll even copy it to the chat and all like that.
Yeah. The players, everyone involved in a Pathfinder game is a player, including the game master. But for the sake of simplicity,
Yeah.
the player usually refers to participants other than the GM. Before the game begins, players invent a history and personality for their characters, using the rules to determine the character's statistics, abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. The GM might limit the options available during the character creation. The limits are discussed ahead of time so everyone can create interesting heroes. In general, the only limit to a character's concepts are the player's imaginations and the GM guidelines. During the game, the players describe their actions their characters take and roll dice, use their character abilities, and the GM resolves the outcome of these actions. Some players enjoy acting out or role-playing what they do as if they were characters, while others describe their characters acting as if narrating a story. Do whatever feels best. If this is your first experience with a role-playing game, it is recommended that you take a role of a player to familiarize yourself with the rules and the world.
Nice.
The next thing is the Game Master. While the other players create and control their characters, the Game Master, or GM, is in charge of the story and world. The GM describes all the situations players experience in the adventure, considering how the actions of a player character affect the story, and interpret the rules along the way. The GM can create a new adventure, crafting a narrative, selecting monsters, and assigning treasure of their own. Or if they can instead rely on publishing adventures, use the basics for the session, and modifying it as needed to accompany their individual players and their group styles of play. Some even run games that combine original and published content, mixed together to form a new narrative. Being a GM is a challenge, requiring you to adjacent the rules, narrate the story, and juggle other responsibilities. But it can be very rewarding worth all the work required to run a good game. If this is your first time running a game, remember that the only thing that matters is that everyone has a good time, and that includes you. Everyone else will come naturally with practice, and patience.
There you go. So make sure, even if you're running the games as a games master, you're there to have fun too. If it becomes, make sure it doesn't become work. It's supposed to be fun. So yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Okay. Gaming for all.
Whether you're a GM or a player, participating in the tabletop role-playing game includes a social contract. Everyone has to gather together to have fun and telling a story. For many, role-playing is a way to escape the troubles of everyday life. Be mindful of everyone at the table and what they want for the game, so that everyone can have fun. When a group gathers for the first time, they should talk about what they hope to experience at the table, as well as topics they want to avoid, uncomfortable or even unwelcome, and everyone should agree to respect those boundaries during the play. That way, everyone can enjoy the game together. Pathfinder is a game for everyone, regardless of age, gender, race, or ethnicity, religion, sexual orientation, or any other identifiers in life experience. It is responsibility to all players, not just GM, to make sure the table is fun and welcoming to all.
Nice. Cool. Okay, so tools of play.
I want you to read this one.
Okay. Alright, tools of play. In addition to this book, there are a few things you will need to play Pathfinder. The supplies can be found at your local hobby store or online at payzo.com. Character sheet. Each player will need a character sheet to create their character and to record what happens to the characters during play. You can find the character sheet in the back of this book and online as a free PDF. The players, dice. The players and GM will need at least one set of polyhedral dice. Throughout most participants during bring their own. Six-sided dice are quite common, but all the dice in the set can be found at a hobby game store, or online. See the dice sidebar below for more on the different kinds of dice and how they are discussed in the text. So, dice. And chat, that's where we've got to. Dice. Okay, so dice. Pathfinder requires a set of polyhedral dice. Each die has a different number of sides: 4, 6, 8, or more. When these dice are mentioned in the text, they're indicated by a D, followed by the number of sides on the dice. Pathfinder uses D-sided dice, or D4, 6-sided dice, D6, 8-sided dice, D8, 10-sided dice, D10, 12-sided dice, D12, and 20-sided dice, D20. If you need to roll multiple die, a number before the D tells you how many. For example, 4d6 means you roll 4 dice, all 6-sided. If the rule asks for D percentage, you generate a number from 1 to 100 by rolling 2 10-sided die, treating one as the tens place, and the other as the 1 place. There you go. That's how you do the percentage.
Yep. I'll continue reading now.
Yep.
Every table.
I'll send this to our Discord chat, actually, because they were talking about how to decide on the dice, weren't they? Yep. Where was it? General Hangout?
Yep. For now, I'll continue reading. Adventure. Every table needs an adventure to play, whether it's designed by the GM or found on a public resource. You can find exciting adventures and entire adventure path campaigns as at the website
After following you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bestiary, from terrifying
Okay,
dragons to mischievous gremlins, monsters that are common threats that PCs might face, and each time has its own statistics and abilities that can be found in the Pathfinder Bestiary or other monster books. And it's an invaluable resource for GMs. Monster statistics can be found on creature listings. So basically what this means is there's a bunch of creature stat blocks you can use. You don't have to make your own for other things. There's some.
Yeah.
These are for examples for other monsters. So Pathfinder Bestiary, there's 3 Bestiaries for monsters GMs can use for their campaigns. Yeah. In the Game Master's Guide, there's a whole bunch of stat blocks for random civilians, basically, and things like that. So don't worry about that too much. Maps and miniatures. The chaos of combat can be difficult to imagine, so many get to use maps to represent their battlefield. These maps are marked with a 1-inch grid, with each square representing 5 foot in the game. Miniatures and illustrated tokens called pawns are used to represent each character and adversary they face.
Yeah.
And for basically additional accessories, there are a number of additional accessories you can add to your game and enhance your experience, including tools that help track the turn in combat, decks of cards for referencing common rules, like some ways to look at digital character creation tools, and even background music and sound effect settings. So for digital creation tools, for your first character, I suggest you find, for Pathfinder, I suggest you find a digital creation tool to just get your character started, and then you can transfer it over to whatever you want to put it. It's a lot better for that. This website, what we're currently looking at, has working on a character creation tool, but it's currently in alpha. So I'll hope this gets out really soon. But for now, that's the character creation tools.
Nice. So that's tools of play. Cool. Yep. We've got basics of play.
Yep. So let's go over basics of play.
Yep.
Before you're becoming your first character or on adventure, you should understand the number of basic concepts used in the game. New concepts are presented in bold to make them easier to define, but this chapter is only introduction of basic play. The completed game rules are defined later in chapters, and the glossary index in the core rulebooks will help you find specific rules you need. Which is actually all the Pathfinder rulebooks are getting a remaster recently.
That's really cool.
Yes. So basically, they're getting remastered so people can understand them better. After the Pathfinder books can be a little confusing for new players.
Yeah, that makes sense. All good.
Yep. So if you guys want to wait a little bit, there's going to be a new remix of everything you need just to get new things.
Yeah.
Defining characters. In Pathfinder, players take on the role of a player character, PCs, while the Game Master portrays a non-player character, NPCs, and monsters. While PCs and NPCs are both important to the story, they serve different purposes in the game. PCs are protagonists. The narrative is about them. Do not make your NPC the main character, basically. Well, NPCs and monsters are allies, contacts, adversaries, and villains. That says PCs and NPCs and monsters share several characteristics. Level is one of the most important statistics in the game, as it contains the approximate power and capability of every individual creature. PCs range in level from first at the start of character adventuring career to 20th, the very height of power. As the characters overcome challenges, defeat foes, and complete adventures, they accumulate experience points. Every time they accumulate 1,000 XP, the game go up a level. So there is no continuing going up levels for things. It's always 1,000 experience.
Yeah. So that's very easy to do then. That's nice to keep track of.
Yeah, but some monsters won't give you XP if they're too easy, basically.
Yeah.
getting new ability. So basically, after you gain a level, basically you can face greater challenges. At first level, a PC might face up against a great giant rat or a group of bandits, but at 20th level, the character might be able to bring ruin to an entire city with a single spell.
Yeah.
In addition to the level, characters are defined by ability scores, which are measured by
Crazy.
characters' raw potential and are used to calculate most of their other statistics. There are 6 ability scores in the game. Strengths represents the character's physical might, while dexterity represents agility and ability to avoid danger. Constitution indicates the character's overall health and well-being. Intelligence represents raw knowledge and problem-solving ability. Wisdom measures character's insight and ability to evaluate a situation. Finally, charisma includes charm, persuasiveness, or force of personality. Ability score for ordinary folk range from a low of 3 to a high of 18, while 10 representing an average humanist ability. High-level characters can have an ability score that ranges much higher than 18. So 18 is not the limit in D&D. But it gets harder to get those higher after a while. After 18, I should just say this, your ability to score points only raise it by 1 every time. You can't raise it like automatically by 2.
Yeah.
An ability score that averages increases your chance to tasks related to ability score. Well,
with 10 representing the average human capabilities. Yeah.
18 is high for like normal humanoids, and beyond that, you're unnaturally good at this.
Yeah. God tier. Yeah.
Not God tier. You're just naturally good at this. Gods are a thing.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Keep going.
Your player's character is also defined by key choices you make. Basically, your ancestry, representing your character's parents and heritage, such as human, elf, goblin. Next up is your PC's background, which describes its upbringing. And the class. So all 3 of these will determine your stats. Your heritage, where you were born from, will determine some of your stats which you increase more and decrease in Pathfinder. Some stats decrease from certain races because spiders are not the spider race is not very endearing to humans. Yes, you can be a spider.
Oh. So PC's ancestry is who your parents are.
Yep.
And then background is like street urchin to nobility and everything in between. And then class is what you use, like wizard or
fighter.
Fighter. Yeah. Right. In addition to these key choices, player characters also have a number of feats. Individual abilities selected during character creation, and as the character increases in level, each feat has a type to denote what its explanation can be found. For example, elf feats can be found in the elf ancestry. Wizard's feats, for example, grant abilities that deal with spells. Finally, characters have skills that measure the ability to hide, swim, bargain, or perform other common tasks. Yeah.
The world as a participant. Aside from the characters and monsters, the world of Pathfinder itself can be a force to be at the table and a narrative. While the presence of the larger world can sometimes be an obvious hazard that's a powerful storm lashing the countryside, the world can also act in subtle, small ways. Traps and treasures are just as important in many tales as cunning beasts. To help you understand these game examples, many use the same characteristics as characters and monsters. For example, most environment hazards have a level. which
Yeah.
indicates how dangerous they are, and the level of magic items gives you the sense of overall power and impact on the story.
That's pretty cool. So even the environment has a level to it.
Yes, there's
Makes
environmental traps and stuff would have levels and how dangerous they are.
Okay. And last on this docket, we've got creating a narrative. We'll read this and then wrap up this chat here.
Yep.
All good. Yep. So, yeah. Do you want to read the last bit? Or?
I'll read the rest of it. Creating a narrative.
Yeah.
Characters and their choices create the story of Pathfinder, but how they interact with each other and the world around them is governed by rules. So while you might decide that your character can undertake an epic journey to overcome terrifying foes and make the world a safe place, your character's chance of success is determined by their abilities, the choices you make, and the roll of the dice. The GM determines the promise and backgrounds of most adventures, although the character's histories and personalities certainly play a point. Once the game session begins, the players take turns describing what their characters attempt to do, while the GM determines the outcome, with the table working towards a specific goal. GM also describes the environment, other the character's action, and events. For example, the GM might announce that the character's hometown is under attack by meandering trolls. The character might track the trolls to a nearby swamp, only discover that trolls were driven from their swamp by a fearsome dragon. The PC then have a choice of taking an entire tribe of trolls, the dragon, or both. Whether they decide, the success depends on their choices and the die roll made during play. A single narrative includes a setup, plot, and a campaign. It's called an adventure. A series of adventures create
setup, plot, and conclusion, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Conclusion is called an adventure. A series of adventures creates a larger narrative called a campaign. An adventure may take several sessions to complete, while a campaign may take months or even years.
Yeah. Brilliant. So that's how you set it up then. All right?
Yep.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, we'll wrap up part 2 there. We're still on the introduction, but that's fine. We can do as many parts of the introduction as possible. We've got all these. So we've got, next we've got playing the game all the way down. So we've got all of these to do, and then we'll jump on to chapter 2, 3, and onwards. All right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to 12. And each section has loads. So we'll be doing this quite a while. We don't need to rush through it in one go. We want it nice short clips so people can jump on and listen to it, or listen to it as a playlist. So that's all fine.
Yep.
And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thank you for stopping by, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.